Hello, this is Tamara Fleming, and I'm the author of UPSWING, 80 Mindful Practices to Shift Your Life from Blues to Bliss. And today I'm so excited because I'm here with Kim Tobin, a very good longtime friend of mine who is also an author. We're going to talk about that shortly, but she's written two books. One is coming out in October, and we'll talk about that in a second. But welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me. It is so good to connect with you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I know. So we're talking about everyday spirituality, and we kind of are letting spirit guide this session. We're going to be on here for somewhere between 20 minutes, depending on how the energy feels and goes. So what do you think spirit has in mind for us today?
I have a feeling it's keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. Okay, I like that idea. Well, let me tell everybody a little bit about you. You are an amazing person. You have written these two books. You've gone through a tremendous amount of your own life change and shifts, and you are now in the flow. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're now in the flow. And so that's super cool. And Kim's website, by the way, we'll mention this again at the end, is Kimberly Tobin, and that's Kimberly, Tobin, TOBIN.com. So if you're online and you want to go check her out right now, you can go on there. And she talks about on her website, Courageous Clarity Rocks. But one of the things when I was looking at her website that is interesting is she's made the shift from trauma and drama into spiritual flow. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about shifting your life, what it takes to make that shift from trauma and drama, reaction to the world, and over into spiritual flow. What do you have to say about that?
You know, that is a huge, big topic. We all have our own trauma drama, and it starts from way, way young. We think that, you look around these little kids that are, 2 and under and think, yeah, they're not picking up much, but oh my goodness, they're such sponges. And then you look around at all of us grown-ups going, where'd all this crap come from? And, it took me 51 years of piling this stuff on of going, you don't fix it all at once. I think the very first step is realizing that the trauma, the drama, and reacting, it's addictive. And it's hard to step back from that. And a lot of times it takes a crisis, whether it's a medical crisis or, environmental crisis, your marriage breaks down or whatever. But that seems to be one of the things that I find most common with the clients that I work with. They're on the edge of that, trying to come through, trying to get through this whole breakdown or breakthrough. And they're not sure which way to go, which way to turn, and which way's up sometimes. So I have been blessed to have people such as yourself that have helped me at critical times. And that's what I do for my clients. I've lived through it, been through it. Still, there are times you go through it. On the other side of a breakthrough doesn't mean life's all rosy. But, right. I think it takes a courageous woman or person to reach out and go, hey, I need some help. I can't do this alone. So that's what I do. I mean, I use what I've been through to help my clients that are going through the same types of things.
Yeah, I get you. I truly wish it weren't addictive and it weren't hard and difficult. And I'm really curious. I've been curious most of my adult life if there's a way to get through transformation that doesn't require an absolute meltdown or dark night of the soul. But, on the human journey, I mean, you were there when I melted down. You were there. You saw, you witnessed. It was not pretty. And luckily I was in the safety of a women's group where there was support and kind of knowing for what was happening, but it was just the beginning. I had lost the sight in one of my eyes, and I had literally my mental, spiritual capacity broke down. I lost it, and I had no rudder, and I I knew at the time when I was going into the dark night, you know, that there was a purpose for it. There really was a purpose, and I'm grateful for the experience. It was longer than I would have liked, but that was totally up to me. And now I know that, right? So in your book, Midlife Transformation, tell us a little bit about what the essence of the messages are.
Well, this book is an amazing collaboration of women that have gone through different things through their midlife. And I don't know why it seems that it's the timing is midlife that we're making these turns, or it's just the way things are right now. And we happen to be in the midlife, but it's just things that have stopped us in our tracks and go, okay, what's going on? Like, here's what we did. Unfortunately, mine was a health crisis as well. But then I look back, usually it doesn't take more than one crisis for somebody to work through their spiritual stuff, if it kind of just takes you by the shoulders and wakes you up. So then it made me think, I wonder how many times God has said, okay, Kim, let's try this a different way. Tried to nudge me other ways, and I just didn't pay attention. And then he's like, okay, well, time's now. It's Spirit's like, okay. And then that was my health crisis. And I have found since then, when I'm not on my path, when I'm not doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing, I start to get ill again, because that's how I guess I pay attention. You know, and I go, oh, there was a nudge. I probably should have listened to that, and, you know, those kind of things. So back to the book, it is just 28 women sharing their stories of when they made the turn and what life has been since then, and how they're going about their daily life and helping others.
So there's no one perfect way to get through it, that it's very personal, you know, right? Depending on, and hopefully you only go through it once. I know, you know, as I was writing the book, I was looking into Dark Night of the Soul experiences and how many people, you know, how that works. And we go through little ones often in our adult, you know, journey maybe. And then there are some people who don't need to go through it at all. And I find that really fascinating. I know, though, I believe, and this is my belief, that if you're a healer and your job is to help others, then you're going to go through it to the max, because you have to understand it. You have to have compassion for it. You have to really, I mean, I just get teary thinking about this, is I can hold this space now for others in that experience way more compassionately than I could before I went through it. You know, and I find that the body part is also really fascinating. And as we merge into this, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. As we evolve into this new energy that we're going into, there are two tools I think that we're really having to learn how to use, which is the higher self communication. So being able to listen and get that information and be guided by that all the time. And also the body's knock at your door, the body's knowledge, right? So if you've had trauma in your life, you know that trauma gets locked in the cells, right? And then you have to heal it out of the body. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about those two things, the inner voice and the body talk.
I think that if the more tuned in you are, the more you're able to recognize the higher connection. And as a backup, my body's a backup. You know, I am blessed with a body that has given me signs of, okay, that's too much. You know, and we're in a society of quick fixes. I think we're finally moving away from that. But the quick fix is run and get an aspirin if I've got a headache, or my body hurts, run and take something for it, take a pain pill. I had to learn to step back and realize that that's part of my messages that I'm getting, that, okay, we're stuck in the trauma right now, back up. Or there's another way to look at this or go about this, let's back up. So I use my body signals as a tool to help me get realigned in that. I don't run to the first aspirin or something like that. I really check in and go, okay, what's going on? So I learned to use that tool.
That is a really good tool. So on both counts, then, what you're talking about is slowing down and getting quiet enough to listen, and to also listen to all the messages that are coming through your body at times, right?
Yes.
Right. And it fascinates me too. Someone recommended to me another book called Body Keeps Score, and I'm really anxious to read it. I don't know if you've read it, but I've had sexual abuse in my history, and so it lives in the cells, and I have done a ton of work to move that through a healing process, but it still lives in the cells. So I think it's interesting that when you start using your body as a way to help you manage your life, to help you heal, and you really tune into that, because by the time your body gets ill, you have not listened.
Exactly.
I think I can very comfortably say that you have not listened, and you're getting a wake-up call. Now, there may be some people that just want to strangle me, that they've gotten breast cancer, they've gotten something, but your body will talk to you through those avenues, right? Anita Morjani, in her book, talks about, basically that. And the other side, look at what happened to her. She went to the other side. She was taught how to listen to her higher self in that experience, came back and then shared that. So there's no right or wrong. It's just, what are we learning as we're going along? What is the body doing to teach us what we need to know? How well are we listening? When do we start listening? Because I think that's a key piece too, is when do we start?
Yeah. And I agree that, we're all so different. We've all had different experiences. We've reacted differently. We've done different things. The one thing about our experiences and our bodies is that they're all different. So for me to stand up in a crowd full of people and say, okay, when you have a headache, it means this. And when your back hurts, it means this. Now, those are guidelines, and our experiences are as different as our bodies. So I think that's one good tool to use as, say, to learn more about yourself and what you need to pay attention to, versus, now I'm very connected to nature. I love animals, and that kind of stuff. So when I see a deer that's out of place, it means something different to me, but it may not mean something to somebody else. I think that our bodies are the one thing that each of us can take and get signals from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. And I think that the key part of that is learning how to listen to the message. So tell us how you go about having a body symptom, and then what do you do next, and how does it work?
Well, it depends on what body symptom it is. But it does, if I get a massive headache or a migraine, that's my very first trigger, and to say, okay, something massive is going on. I kind of judge. I'm able to judge, okay, if it hurts a little bit, it's not such a big deal. I still need to pay attention to it. But if I've got a migraine, I am in the throes of something that I need to completely step back from. There's drama I'm actually tangled up in, or there's trauma that I just totally. So that's how I gauge my surroundings and what's going on, is how bad I hurt. It's kind of a weird thing, but
I like that. I know by the time you're dealing with something, but I think it's I'm going to a physical therapist right now for TMJ, because I have it really bad, and my dentist couldn't finish cleaning my teeth because I locked up. And so the physical therapist, I find this is really interesting metaphor, right? So the physical therapist got his thumbs up in my jawline and, working. He goes, oh, we got a lot of work to do. And I asked him, physical therapist, I asked him, so what do you think? Is there an emotional connection to a tight jaw, a clenched jaw, a grinder at night? What's really going on? And so we had a little chat about that. And, going in and asking myself, I came up with quite a few things about that. It's a lifetime. It's been an adult thing that I've done that created the TMJ, but we're going to unwind it. He's going to do the physical part of it, and I'm going to do the emotional part of it. And, it's going to be very interesting, but I think that is the way that the body shapes itself It's the way that it heals itself. It's the way that it talks to us on the whole, and it's the carrier for the spirit. So it's an interesting combination.
It so is. And like for me, when I get a sore throat, that means to me that there's something that I'm holding back that I need to say. I know that sounds weird. As much as I talk, you would not think that there's anything that's left unsaid. But when I have a sore throat, there is something from spirit that I need to share.
So what are like that one? So you get a sore throat, you know, and we know that these mean different things to different people. You're not expressing yourself potentially as much as you could. You're holding something back and not saying something. If you have a headache, you're resisting something a lot of times, right? You clamp down, you're resisting something. So what are a couple of other ones that are common?
Well, when my back goes out,
yeah,
I'm not allowing support. That's what it's telling me. Somebody's trying to help me and I've got my bullheadedness. I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to do it all by myself. I'm going to be the martyr. Well, then my back goes out. He goes, no, you're going to lay in bed and let somebody help you. So those are kind of ways. When I twist my ankle or my knee hurts, it's another one of those. You need to be stronger and stand up straighter and walk your walk. Kind of a reminder. Again, everybody's so different, but these are things that I know about myself. That is one of the reasons when I start to work with a new client, one of the first things we focus on is getting to know themselves. One of the first questions I always ask is, what's your favorite color? And as weird as that sounds, most women can't tell you and can't tell you why. Might be because, somebody told me it looked good on me, or it's just, they can't tell you. My husband likes that color, so that's my favorite color, or my spouse, or whatever. My kids like this. It's getting to know themselves, and most of the time they don't even realize they don't know who they are.
Yeah, that reminds me of Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride when she doesn't even know how she likes her eggs.
Exactly.
Right. So the piece that you said a minute ago that I find really valuable here in this conversation is sovereignty. And I am fascinated by sovereignty now and what it means to know yourself and what it means to become sovereign in yourself, where you take information in from the universe and guidance, but you really, the final piece of it is you with you. And I really think that, to me, this is a consciousness, muscle building, piece that we have to really actively go after now in our evolution. If we really want to have a life of peace and joy and love and be the love that we are, then we have to learn that we are sovereign. So while there are lots of books and teachers and programs and workshops and all of that, in the end, it's up to you to be who you are. And I think it's going to, we've come through a whole era of personal development for it's really the era of, people 50 to 100, right, that are having to go through this they didn't have access to it. So we're having to learn our way through it. And quite quickly, we're having to learn. And yet now we're at this doorway, if we choose to take responsibility for our life force, to be sovereign, and to not have gurus, but to have inner guidance. So I'd love to wrap this up by having you talk about inner guidance and how that works.
Well, again, the inner guidance is different with everyone. You have to know who you are. I think the hardest thing from this, 50 and over transformation is we were raised as people pleasers. The very first thing is to think of somebody else. Do something for somebody else first. And we always put ourselves second. So in doing that, we didn't really learn to love ourselves for who we were because we didn't know who we were. We were trying to please everybody else. I can remember thinking that when I would go to work, it was like going on stage because I had to be the certain person there. And when I got home, I had to be a certain person someplace else. With that, I think titles also define us and hold us back. If you're somebody's mom, this is what you're supposed to do. If you're a bookkeeper, this is what you're supposed to do. You know, those kind of things. Yes, we have responsibilities, but at the same time, we have to know who we are to get to know to the center of how can you know your center and walk in alignment if you don't know who you are.
Yeah, there you go. Right? So it goes right into that sovereignty piece, knowing who you are, trusting yourself, knowing that you're connected, knowing that your divine spark is unique, and dealing with your issues, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I have so enjoyed having you on our live video feed on Facebook, and I want people to know how to reach you and tell them a little bit about what you've got coming up and how they can reach you.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm so excited. I have had the most amazing opportunity. I am going to start, my radio show begins airing live next week on Voice America Women's Channel. So that's voiceamerica.com, the women's channel, and it's called Everyday Spirituality. You can catch me on Facebook. Our group is Everyday Spirituality Path, or you can like me on Facebook at Kim Tobin as well. We have a lot of conversations on how we bring spirituality into our everyday lives. Again, keeping it simple, not just going to one particular place once a week and then forgetting it as soon as you walk out the building, but by doing this, how we help everybody, the vibration just get a little bit higher. So.
Cool. So I'm just going to make sure the links are all in there. And you cut out a little bit. Everyday spirituality path.
No, just spiritual, everyday spirituality path.
Path.com. Got it. And that will take you to Voice America, or do they go to Voice America to join your radio show?
You'll have to go to voiceamerica.com to join the radio show. The Everyday Spirituality Path is the Facebook group.
Got it. Okay. And in Voice America, when you said Voice America Women, is it /women?
I believe so, yes. My URL doesn't come out till tomorrow, of course.
Okay, of course. Well, we'll get them to you through your website and through everydayspiritualitypath.com. And Kim, I am so glad you are a sister, that we've gotten reconnected and that we had this time and shared some very valuable information for people, simple and very, very powerful in terms of how people can manage and shift their life out of trauma and drama into peace. Love it.
Thank you so much. It's so great to connect with you. You know, I love you dearly, and I'm so proud of you and your book. I love the book. I check it every morning before I start my day.
That's awesome. There's more to come. We're building an empire here, so more to come.
To witness.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Love you much.
Love you. Bye, dear.
Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.